All right, today we are going to learn about scatter plots. And number one says a set of data that involves two variables is called bivariate data. And so scatter plots does involve two variables. Okay, bivariate data can be displayed in a scatter plot. A scatter plot shows the relationship between two sets of data. The points of real-life data don't always lie on a line or a complete straight line like we've been looking at with linear equations. The data is plotted as ordered pairs on a coordinate plane. Scatter plots are used to investigate a relationship between two quantities, and that's what we're going to look at today, the relationship between two quantities. Okay, and then we have a table here. We're going to graph each point, and then we're going to be able to see what does the scatter plot show. Let's go ahead and label our graph. So number of hours driven is going to represent your X variable, and number of miles driven will represent your Y. And we can label, this is your X, and this is going to represent number of hours driven. And we can label that as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this is our Y-axis that's going to represent number of miles driven. And we'll start with 0 and we'll count 550s. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph each ordered pair. So we'll start with 250, 3, 130, 130, 4, 200, 5, 240, 4, 210, 160, 3, 180, 280, and 5, 250. So you can see that it is not a straight line because when we collect data, number of hours driven and the number of miles. So some people take longer on their drive. Some people are a little bit faster in their driving. Okay, and so what does this scatter plot show? Okay, so we do see that our ordered pairs kind are look like they're increasing, right? So it looks like we can say as the number of hours driven, the number of miles driven increases. All right, so we can see the more hours you drive, you can see that the number of miles increases. All right, so let's look. A scatter plot can show different types of relationships. Okay, and so it can show a positive, negative, or no relationship. So it can be a positive association. Sometimes instead of association, it will say a positive correlation, negative association, or a negative correlation, or no association. That means there's no relationship between the two variables or no correlation. So those words are usually interchangeable. So if we have a positive association, okay, think of a line increasing. Just like the example that we saw here, you can see that our ordered pairs are increasing. So if you we'll just put an example here to show that. Okay, and you can see as your X increases, your Y variable also increases. All right, just like in the example with the number of hours driven, the number of miles increases as well. All right, so a negative association, if you think of a negative slope, so your line is going down. So you'll have like ordered pairs here, and you can see the trend there is just decreasing. Okay, so as your X value increases, your Y value is decreasing. All right, so when there's no association with your two variables, you're just going to have ordered pairs just randomly there like this. So there's no correlation here. These two variables, your X and your Y, there's no relationship. Okay, so two values show no pattern, which there's no relationship there. All right, so let's look at the next page here. And I want you to try these four. So in number 1 and number 2, you're just going to identify the relationship between the data sets, just like we saw here. Okay, so one of these 3 vocabulary. And then also number 3 and number 4 are very similar. You're just going to take your data like we did, plot it on the graph, label your X and your Y values. And then I want you to describe the relationship, just like here, but then I also want you to write in words, what does this relationship mean? And we wrote that here, okay? So I'll give you a few minutes to do that, and then we will check your work. All right, let's go ahead and check your work. Number 1 is a negative association because your ordered pairs are decreasing here. And then a positive, you can see that they're going up. Number 3, when you plot the ordered pairs, number of boxes, and the cost per box, this does show a negative association. So what does this mean? The price decreases, right, as you purchase more boxes of cookies, right? Or the more boxes of cookies you purchase, the cost decreases. Number 4 shows no association. So there's no association with the age and the number of TVs in your home. So there's no correlation there. There's no relationship. And there is an extra practice page that you can work on and check your answers.